I am Will Scott. Welcome into college football now. What was reported last night is now official this morning. Geoff Collins, the head coach of the Georgia Tech Yellowjackets, has been fired after a disastrous tenure that lasted 3+ seasons. He was 10-28 in 3+ seasons at the helm. Georgia Tech got destroyed by UCF this past weekend, 27-10. Not only was Geoff Collins dismissed, but also athletic director Todd Stansbury. So a lot of stuff happening over there in Atlanta this morning. There was a meeting with the board of directors, the head coach Geoff Collins and the AD Todd Stansbury. Both Collins and Stansbury have been let go after a brutal couple of seasons over there in Atlanta for Collins. Now go down in the comments section. Tell me, how good is the Georgia Tech job? Scale it 1 to 10 down in the comments sections. When Paul Johnson left, I thought this was a very good job that was going to attract a lot of good candidates, and it did. Geoff Collins was highly sought after. He did a solid job at Temple, did a good job previously as the defensive coordinator at Florida. But now, after the last couple of years, I really don't know how good this Georgia Tech job is, because this is a program in disarray. Here's what Collins did in 3+ seasons at Georgia Tech. 3-9 in his first season in 2019. Followed that up with a 3-7 season in 2020. But a lot of people gave him a pass that year because that was the COVID season, right? That was a season where a lot of people got a pass. 2021, though, he went 3-9. And I was really surprised to see him return to Georgia Tech after that disappointing 3-9 season. And then they get off to a disappointing start this season, a 1-3 start. They were destroyed by Ole Miss, then lost to UCF this past week. So overall, probably an easy decision to move on from Geoff Collins. They want to start this search now. We've seen a couple coaches already fired early into this season. Scott Frost, Herm Edwards, Geoff Collins. We've gotten you guys hot boards on every single candidate, or every single opening, I should say, that has opened so far this fall. Here's our hot board, our top 10 candidates for the Georgia Tech job. And we start with Curt Cignetti, the head coach of James Madison. James Madison making the transition to FBS. Cignetti leading that transition, and he's done a fantastic job. Here's what he's done in 3+ seasons at James Madison. So his first season, 2019, they go to the FCS championship game. They lose 14-2 season. 7-1 in 2020. They lose in the FCS semifinal. Last season, 12-2, they lose in the semifinal again. This is their first season in FBS, and they're undefeated, 3-0. Cignetti's done a fantastic job at JMU. Definitely a name to keep in mind if you're Georgia Tech. Another name that we have here, Alex Atkins, the offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach for Florida State. He is a big reason that FSU has gotten off to a surprisingly good start this year. They're 4-0 after not making a bowl game the past 2 seasons. Here's what 24/7 Sports said about Atkins as a potential candidate here at Georgia Tech. The former UT Martin guard began his coaching career as alma mater in 2007 and went job to job before ending up at Florida State in 2020 under Mike Norvell. Atkins received offensive coordinator duties this season after coaching the offensive line over the last 2 years. He still coaches the big boys up front, but at this rate, could get a head coaching job by operating that offense. FSU off to a 4-0 start and haven't scored fewer than 24 points in a single game this season. The Seminoles just steamrolled Boston College 44-14 over the weekend. I think Atkins is a phenomenal coach, and I think, like I said, he's a big reason that Florida State's 4-0, but I don't know if he's ready for a Power 5 head coaching job right now. He's in his first season as a coordinator at Florida State. I want to see a couple good seasons out of him there before I'd feel comfortable hiring him at Georgia Tech, but still would be a solid candidate if Georgia Tech considered him. What do you guys think? Would Alex Atkins be a good hire? Type G for good or type B for bad down in the comments section. It is the pinned comment on today's video. So when an ad break comes, go down and let me know, would Alex Atkins be a good hire? I think he'd be decent, but like I said, I don't know if he's ready for a head coaching job right now. Let's talk about Willie Fritz now, the head coach of Tulane. He's a guy that's probably going to be linked to a couple jobs here if Tulane continues to have a good season. They beat Kansas State last week, who then beat Oklahoma. So he's done a pretty good job at Tulane. 3 bowl games in the past 4 seasons. Overall, though, a losing record at the helm at Tulane. Had some success at Georgia Southern before he was at Tulane. So I like Willie Fritz. Is he the best candidate out there? No, but a solid one at that. Guys, be sure to go down and hit that big red subscribe button because we're bringing you guys college football news, rumors, coaching, hot boards, and more. Whenever there's an opening, we're going to get you guys a hot board either the same day or the next day at the very latest. So go down and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be all over these college football openings. Kane Womack is the new, the next candidate that we're going to talk about here, number 7 on my list, head coach at South Alabama. Only in his second season there, but he inherited a really bad football team. Steve Campbell, his predecessor, went 9-6 in 3 seasons, and then Womack went 5-7 last year. But this season, off to a 3-1 start. Nearly took down UCLA. That is their only loss. UCLA came down to a game-winning field goal. So Womack has already turned around that program at South Alabama. He's very young, too, only 35 years old. Definitely a name to watch here. And not just with the Georgia Tech opening, but maybe with the Arizona State opening as well. Our next candidate, Tyson Helton, the head coach at Western Kentucky. You see the last name? Yes, he is the brother of Clay Helton. He's a guy that's going to be linked to a couple jobs. He's done a really solid job at Western Kentucky. Here's what he's done. 9-4 in his first season, 5-7 in 2020, 9-5 last year, 3-1 so far this year. He's made Western Kentucky one of the better group of 5 programs. Guys, you can go bet on college football at chatsports.com/bet. If you use promo code CHAT125, you're going to get a 125% deposit bonus. That means if you put $100 in, you're going to get $125 additional cash to bet with. Great deal. Go and take advantage. Chatsports.com/bet. Here are the current Heisman odds. The top 3 names have remained pretty consistent throughout the first couple weeks of the season, but Stetson Bennett and Hendon Hooker are 4th and 5th now in the Heisman odds. I mean, who saw that coming? Hooker's had a phenomenal season as Stetson Bennett. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code CHAT125. C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, Stetson Bennett, and Hendon Hooker are the top 5 names here on the list. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code CHAT125. Our next name, it's a big one. Hugh Freeze. Let's link him to this Georgia Tech opening. Somebody's going to give this guy a shot eventually, right? I know about the drama that went down at Ole Miss, but you got to believe, based on the job that he's done at Liberty, that he is going to get another Power 5 job one day. Did a phenomenal job at Ole Miss. Obviously got into some trouble there, made some questionable decisions. But Hugh Freeze is a great coach, has done a great job with Liberty. He's made Liberty a force amongst the group of 5 programs. Somebody's going to hire Hugh Freeze eventually. Is it going to be Georgia Tech? I don't know, but I fully expect him to be a candidate in Atlanta. Guys, do you think Georgia Tech should hire Hugh Freeze? Type H for hire or type P for pass. Down in the comment section, go down, let me know, what do you think Georgia Tech should do? Todd Monken, of course, he's going to be a name linked here at Georgia Tech. Number 1, because he's in state. Number 2, because he's linked to every opening that has arisen so far. So Monken's going to be linked to several jobs. He's done a great job as the OC at Georgia. But my thing with Monken is, would he take the Georgia Tech job? Because when you're a coordinator at a consistent contender like Georgia, like Clemson, like Bama, you're going to be looking for a pretty big Power 5 job. I mean, think about this. Brent Venables went from the DC at Clemson to the head coach at Oklahoma. You saw Dan Lanning went from the DC at Georgia to the head coach at Oregon. I don't know if Monken would take the Georgia Tech job. And would he leave Georgia for their biggest rival? I don't know how realistic that is. But money talks. Sean Clark. Number 3 on my list here. He would be a phenomenal hire. I mean, what he's done at Appy State has been really impressive. I know they lost to this past weekend to James Madison, but Clark would be a phenomenal hire. I really like Clark. He'd be at the top of my list if I was an athletic director with any of these openings. When you look year by year, too, what he did, what he's done at Appy State, 22-9 in 3 years at the helm at his alma mater in Appalachian State. Might be tough to pull him from his alma mater, but Georgia Tech would be a really solid job for him, and I think he'd be a really good fit. I also think Jamey Chadwell would be a really good fit. He's going to be a hot commodity. I might be surprised to see him back at Coastal Carolina next year if he keeps it up, because you look year by year what he's done. After a 5-7 first season, 11-1 in 2020. That was the year they almost went undefeated. They lost their last game to Liberty, actually, and Hugh Freeze in the Cure Bowl. 11-2 in 2021. This season, they're 4-0. Chadwell, I think, is the next big thing. He's eventually going to get a Power 5 job. In fact, he's had a lot of interest, but he's waiting for the right opportunity. I don't know if Georgia Tech is that opportunity for him, but it's going to be he's going to be someone that they look at for sure. I think he's the next big thing. Whatever Power 5 job he gets, he's going to do a really good job at. But number one on my list, prime time, Deion Sanders, number one on our list here. Pretty much everybody that's put out hot boards has Deion number one, and we're going to join that crew because Deion Sanders would be a phenomenal hire. He should be the first call here for whoever gets that AD job at Georgia Tech. Here's what Josh Pate of 24/7 and CBS Sports said about Deion Sanders as a potential candidate. You're going to hear the name Deion Sanders. There are people associated with that program that fully believe in that concept. They believe in bringing Deion in and letting him do at Georgia Tech what Sam Pittman has done at Arkansas. Shout out producer Trace Gerard, a Arkansas alum. What that means is hiring incredible staff members. That's why it's working out for Pittman at Arkansas. There's going to be some talk of Deion Sanders being a head coaching option at Georgia Tech. Deion, of course, played for the Falcons and played for the Braves. So Deion is certainly going to be a name linked here. Georgia Tech, you got to do it, man. You got to do it. Look at what Deion has done at Jackson State. You're not just hiring him because, he's a good recruiter. You're hiring him because he is a good coach. He has done a phenomenal job at Jackson State. He's brought in these really good recruiting classes. Got the number one recruit in the nation last year in Travis Hunter, not to mention his son. Pretty good at the quarterback position. I can promise you his son would transfer to Georgia Tech if you hire him. Do it, Georgia Tech. You won't regret it. Give Deion Sanders a chance. He can't be any worse than Geoff Collins was. Can we just acknowledge that? Guys, go down and subscribe to the channel. We're bringing you guys hot boards whenever there's an opening. So go down and subscribe. It's the best way to stay in the loop with college football news.